The mansion was more of a castle, 16 bedrooms. 3 swimming pools, a bowling alley, an underground cinema, a tennis court, and a glass elevator that hummed like a spaceship. But none of it could hide the chaos within. No maid butler or cleaner lasted longer than a day not since. The billionaire's 4 sons had taken over the estate after their mother passed away. It wasn't grief that turned them wild. It was the vacuum left by love. The silence left by a woman who once held the mansion's heart together. Now it was a war zone. Screams echoed through the halls. Water balloons flew across the indoor balconies. Electric scooters screeched against marble floors. The latest housekeeper, Marta, bolted out the front gate with a mop in hand, sobbing, leaving her final paycheck behind. In just the past 6 months, 38 maids had either quit, cried, or been run out. Security footage showed everything from ketchup traps to slippery stairs, indoor paintball fights to live raccoons unleashed in the pantry. The 4 brothers were all different kinds of dangerous. Jet, 22, a leader with a devilish smile and a motorcycle parked by the grand piano. Rio, 19, the quiet one who never spoke unless it was sarcastic. Blaze, 17, a firecracker with a love for explosives and kitchen chemistry. And Chance, 14, the baby-faced mastermind who ran most of the operations with a remote-controlled drone and a laptop that could probably hack into NASA. Their father. Mr. Lennox Kingston, one of the richest tech moguls in the country, is always away launching rockets, signing billion-dollar deals, trying to buy Mars or something. But one morning, his helicopter landed on the estate unannounced. He walked into the house, saw the mud-covered dining room, the trampoline in the foyer, and the chocolate fountain dripping from the ceiling. And without a word, he called the agency again. "I don't care what it costs," he growled into the phone. "Send me someone who won't break." Enter Chandra Monroe. A tall, regal woman in her mid-30s with deep brown skin, braided hair pulled into a bun, and eyes like storm clouds that had seen everything but never surrendered. She stepped out of a dusty blue car with nothing but a canvas duffel bag and a clipboard. The guards at the front gate looked at her skeptically until she looked back. Her stare made the younger. One gulp and pressed the gate button immediately. Chandra didn't come from privilege. She grew up in a rough part of Detroit, raised by a grandmother who cleaned churches and taught her 2 rules: never cry in front of trouble and never leave a job undone. She had worked in private homes, upscale resorts, even diplomatic residences. She wasn't just a maid. She was a fixer, a quiet storm. And the agency didn't send her. She found this job herself. Inside, the house looked like a high school prank war had collided with a zoo. Chandra walked calmly through the mess sidestepping a water gun ambush, ducking a swinging punching bag strung from the chandelier, and gently removing a chicken wearing sunglasses from the staircase. The 4 brothers watched her from their hidden perches. "She runs screaming in 2 hours, Jet whispered. Bet she makes it 4. Blaze smirked, lighting a sparkler in the kitchen. But something was different this time. At noon, Chandra called all 4 boys into the main hall with a voice so sharp it sliced through noise like a sword. It didn't come at first until Chance's drone crashed into the wall and Blaze's soda bottle exploded with Mentos. One by one, covered in foam and annoyance, they trudged out. She stood. In the center, like a general. "Let me make something clear," she said, cool and steady. "I don't scare easy. I don't quit. And if you think you're the first spoiled brats I've had to clean up after, think again. I've raised 4 brothers in the projects. You're amateurs." Rio tried to smirk, but it faded fast. "I'm not here to be your servant," she added. "I'm here to restore order, and you're going to help me do it." "Staskris," they burst out laughing. Jet nearly choked. "You're serious?" "Yes," she said, unfazed. "Starting tomorrow, this house will follow my schedule. You will wake up at 6 a.m. for cleanup, breakfast at 7, chores by 8, and if anyone sets fire to anything, breaks a toilet, or sprays shaving cream on the dog again, I will put you in charge of folding the entire laundry room, sock by sock." Chance raised an eyebrow. "You can't make us." She walked over and gently handed him a folded sheet of paper. It was a letter signed by their father giving her full disciplinary authority over the estate while he was abroad. And I will. Asterisk that night, the brothers met in their war room, a hidden attic hideout with flashing screens, soda cans, and a scoreboard labeled Maid casualties. Asterisk Operation Break the Maid starts tomorrow, Blaze whispered. Asterisk, but they didn't know Chandra had already wired the house for sound, mapped their hiding spots, and memorized every trap they'd ever used. She wasn't fighting them. She was studying them. Asterisk the next day, the prank war began, ended before it started. The shower filled with jelly. She turned the water heater off, exploding drawer. She replaced it with a decoy. The fake snake under the bed. She threw it on the dinner table and calmly cut it open while eating lunch. Asterisk every move they made. She saw it coming. Not only that, she turned it back on them. Blaze's favorite hoodie ended up tied in a neat bow above the front gates. Jet's motorcycle was polished, but moved on to the balcony. Rio's sarcasm was matched word for word. And Chance. She reprogrammed his drone to fly in circles every time it tried to spy on her. Asterisk, by the end of the week, the brothers weren't just confused, they were intrigued. Asterisk, why isn't she scared? Jet muttered, watching her mop the marble floors while humming gospel music. Asterisk, she's like a ninja, Blaze whispered. Asterisk, she's not like the others, Rio admitted. Asterisk on. Sunday morning, Chandra found the kitchen spotless, the living room clean, and a note on the fridge. We're not giving up. But you earned our respect. She smiled, folded the note, and slipped it into her bag. But deep down, she knew this was only the beginning. They were testing her. Now, she'd test them. 1 week turned into 2. 2 turned into a month. Still, Chandra stayed. No maid had ever made it this far inside the Kingston estate, and certainly not with her dignity intact. But Chandra Monroe wasn't like anyone these boys had ever met. She didn't just survive, she transformed the house. Asterisk the walls that once echoed with shouting now hummed with music. The kitchen smelled like fresh bread instead of burnt popcorn. The garden, which had once looked like a war zone, now bloomed. With marigolds and sunflowers, because Chandra had made the boys plant them. Yes, even Jet, who once scoffed at the idea of touching dirt, now wore gloves on weekends and helped Rio trim hedges with military precision. Asterisk. It was strange how everything changed without them realizing it. They still played, they still laughed. But they respected her, sometimes grudgingly, sometimes silently, but always genuinely. And more than that, they missed her when she left the room. Chandra never yelled, never cried, never complained. Her presence was calm but strong, like an anchor in a storm. Asterisk one evening, while they all sat around the long dining table, eating a meal they helped cook roast chicken with mashed potatoes and corn pudding, Blaze put his fork down and looked across at her. Why did you take this job? Asterisk Chandra raised an eyebrow. Why not? Asterisk, you could be doing anything. You're smart. You're tough. You're not just a maid. Asterisk there was a silence, gentle and respectful. For the first time, they wanted to know her. Asterisk, she looked down at her plate, then up at the 4 faces that had once been enemies and were slowly turning into sons. Because I know what it's like to grow up without someone teaching you how to care for something. I had a grandmother who scrubbed church pews on her knees just to put me through school. She didn't have a mansion or 4 sons or a paycheck that looked like this one. But she had purpose. She taught me one thing. You want to fix a broken world? Start by cleaning your own house. Asterisk they were silent. Even Chance had nothing sarcastic to say asterisk that night. Jet sat outside by the pool and stared at the stars. When Chandra walked past with a towel over her shoulder, he said quietly, You remind me of my mom. Chandra sat beside him. She raised you well. Asterisk she tried, he murmured. We just got wild when she died. It was like we forgot how to care. Asterisk I didn't come to tame you, Jet, Chandra said. I came to remind you that you're worth taming. The next day, things took a sharp turn. Mr. Lennox Kingston returned, done announced once again. But this time, his expression wasn't bored or distant. It was surprised. The house was clean. The staff wasn't quitting. Sons were smiling. Rio even shook his hand without rolling his eyes. Asterisk, Who's responsible for this? Asked, scanning the estate like a man seeing his childhood home restored. Asterisk her. Blaze grinned, pointing to Chandra, who was mopping the floor outside the wine room. Asterisk Lennox walked over. Miss Monroe, I hear you've done the impossible. Asterisk she wiped her hands and stood tall. Just did what needed doing, sir. Asterisk I'd like to offer you something more permanent, he said. Not just as housekeeper, as family consultant, life coach. Whatever title you want, name your salary. Asterisk she shook her head slowly. Thank you, but I'm not staying. Asterisk what? Chance almost shouted. Asterisk why? Jet stood up. You can't leave. Asterisk why? She looked at them with eyes full of pride. Not attachment, because you don't need me to clean your mess anymore. You're cleaning it yourselves. You've learned how to listen, to respect, to care. But we still make mistakes, Rio murmured. You always will. That's life. But now you have each other, she said. You're not boys playing war anymore. You're brothers again. It's asterisk. They were quiet. But something about her words sank into them like roots into soil. Asterisk later that week, something unexpected happened. A letter arrived, marked in gold. A letter from a court-informing Mr. Kingston that his late wife had requested a charity gala be held annually at the estate. In her memory. The first was to take place in just 3 days, asterisk the problem. The planning had never been started. Asterisk in a flash, chaos returned only this time. It was different. The boys weren't causing the trouble. They were trying to stop it. Jet coordinated. Catering. Rio contacted the guests. Blaze designed the lighting and music. Chance handled the tech. But still, the pressure built in then. The disaster struck. Asterisk, the gowns and tuxedos for the waitstaff were delivered in the wrong sizes. The musician canceled. The flower arrangements were wilted. The chef's assistant quit. They needed help. Chandra, who had been quietly packing her bags in the cottage at the back of the estate, got the call. She answered it. She showed up. And she handled it all. Asterisk, she made backup uniforms from spare linens and ribbons. She got Rio to play the piano, turns out. He was a prodigy but had stopped playing after their mom died. She had Jet drive her across town to pick up fresh blooms from a market she knew. And when the food nearly burned, she stepped into the kitchen and cooked with the fury of a woman who'd made Sunday feasts out of bread. Asterisk the gala was perfect. More than perfect, it was magical. Asterisk guests whispered about the transformation of the Kingston estate. Couldn't believe that, for Wild Boys had become charming young men, respectful, coordinated, and generous. They even gave a speech together, honoring their late mother and surprising Chandra by calling her to the stage. Asterisk Jet took the mic. There was a time we didn't know how to be decent, how to treat people, how to act like family. And then, this woman showed up, this black queen with fire in her eyes. And didn't just clean our house, she cleaned our hearts.
Asterisk.
The room erupted in applause. Chandra didn't cry. But she smiled. That smile lit up the whole room. Asterisk afterward, Lennox found her near the garden. You're really leaving? Asterisk, yes. Asterisk, I'll double your pay. It's not about money, she said, buttoning her coat. Where will you go? Asterisk, somewhere else where someone needs reminding of who they are, she said. There's always someone. Asterisk, as she walked away under the moonlight, the 4 brothers stood on the porch watching her go. They didn't beg, they didn't cry, but they stood tall and saluted her. Weeks later, a letter arrived. It was from Chandra. Inside was a single photo-up picture of them all, standing in front of the estate, smiling. Arms around each other. On the back she'd written, keep it cleans, keep it kind, keep it real. And they did.